So, let me find a starting point because I want to go on a rant here. Not actually a rant, but I actually want to talk about life. I want to talk about, I want to discover it for myself. I want to discover this as if for the first time, even though I tried to record a couple of minutes ago. I recorded a 10-minute video and I accidentally, after I pressed pause, I ended it. And I don't want to make parts and all of that stuff. It's better just to start over. We can start over. So, let's talk about an innocent mind. I don't actually know the exact definition of that word because nowadays, I actually don't know the actual definition either, but innocent means that nowadays being used as in done nothing wrong or incapable of doing something wrong. I think that's one of the definitions of being an innocent person, not having done some crime. But in the old days, in the 90 or 100 years ago, they used the word, or the word itself had a different meaning, which from what I remember I couldn't find on these new dictionaries because it's not being used anymore, because there's no reason to. No one has to use that word for that definition. So the word, from what Krishnamurti said or researched, meant, so the word innocent mind, to have an innocent mind would mean to have a mind that is incapable of being hurt, no matter what happens, physically or psychologically. Physically being an injury, you're losing both feet, you're losing an arm, a leg, a finger, family members, everything, money, whatever. Not entering into the psychological area, the physical pain, the physical aspect, not entering into the mind, nor the psychological things as losing your money, losing your bank account, losing your status, everyone thinking you're a rapist or a criminal, or you actually doing something by mistake, and losing the little reputation you have or the big reputation you have, making a choice between two things, or saying something that's true and no one wants to listen to, or that's completely false, and either say it on purpose or mistakenly. Either way, psychologically as well, not capable of being hurt. So what does that mean actually? Well, let's give an example. A couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I was driving and I wasn't expecting anything of that drive. Just looking for a building to deliver some food at, and I look, there were some cars stopped at the red light, and I looked in one of the cars because we do that, everyone does that, I think. It's pretty much inevitable, and I saw a familiar face, and When I passed by it, I realized that that was the girl I was with for a couple of months, like 3 months. And so I had an immediate that had an immediate impact on me, even though I didn't really show it physically or psychologically. I know there was the processing happened really slowly. That's still um, caught up with me that day and the following days. And so that was pretty much, you could call that a shock for your mind. My mind got shocked. It got shocked. It wasn't expecting that, and it's not about preparing your mind for any shock, for every shock ever. It's the mind not getting shocked at all for anything. So that happened, and at that instant, at that moment, nothing was that bad. I think, from what I remember. Wait, I just not zoned out. I just got distracted, I guess. So that happened, and the following days were pretty crucial. They were pretty bad. I don't know, I think I was getting annoyed by anything, music, podcasts, just anything, really. Other people, I don't know if I actually searched for comfort, not direct comfort, but just, losing myself or just forgetting about that thing which happened. I usually don't do that, but when I do, it's bad. I don't socialize. When I do socialize, when I do socialize, I over exaggerate, and so. I think it was a great issue. That was a problem because I had thought that I was so-called over her, and by that happening, I realized that I actually was not. So I had to do something about it in the sense of acting upon that thing, or not acting upon that thing, but actually seeing it for what it was. I don't know, I don't remember really, but I remember actually cutting off all distractions, outside distractions, like podcasts and music and videos and video games and just YouTube and all that, because they were just making me angry. So cutting that out did not resolve it, because I was still eaten alive by the thoughts of the past, the regrets, what I should have done, what I didn't do, what I shouldn't have done, and so on and so forth. You know how it goes. I can't deny that, possibly. Even though you're not thinking constantly about it, this is like that little thing is always in the back of your head. the little pictures and so on and so forth. So I was still there, and it was still too much for me. I couldn't function normally with that being there. It was just too intense, I guess. Still, it was there, you know. Anything that was still there after that just didn't have to be there. It just okay. So by not getting distracted by outside sources as your phone, interactions, drinking, alcohol, drugs, gym, driving, listening to music, and so on and so forth. You go inside, and inside you're gonna be tortured by thought, because most people, 99.99999% of people, don't understand what thinking is. We don't get it. We've become addicts. We're addicted to it. We use it. We don't know what it is, but we're dependent on it, and it's at the point right now where we're not using it. It's using us. That's what Eckhart said. But what is the us? What is the me? You have to ask that question. Either way, the thinking has taken control over the other fragments of thought, has taken control over sensations, which are natural, just like thinking is. But when it goes hand in hand with everything else, not on its own. Either way. So when you leave the physical aspect out, you have the thoughts just crumbling on top of each other and just overwhelming feelings of regrets and all of that. And so you have to go into feelings. What are feelings actually? So the feeling happens when your body has a natural sensation, like you see a snake. There is the sensation that goes, actually there's the perception, and at the same time there's action and the sensation. Those three go hand in hand. There is no separate action from perception. That perception in itself is action. The body sees something dangerous, it immediately acts. It's not like it is certainly not thinking, because you would be dead when encountering a snake if that was the case. So the body has its own intelligence, its own, you could say, defense mechanism, but the defense mechanism has been, conditioned through time and has been built through time. So either way, the action we use is conditioned by thought. We think about something, we come to a conclusion, and then we act, which is not action. It is conformity. It is repetition. It is basing that so-called action on memory, on stored up experiences. So there's a big difference between perception and thinking, and action and repetition. But either way, let's just get the main subject straight. So, we were talking about the distractions that we go through, that we come to when we go through something. So if you don't escape on the outside, the inside is going to eat you alive, because you don't know what thought is, you don't know its function, you don't know its place. It does know its place. But the moment we see, or thought sees its place, it won't run off into the sunset with a bag of goodies, just spreading that around your brain, which it currently does. When thought falls into its right place, it won't create the chaos it creates right now in the world. So, we base our lives on thought. We have done that for thousands of years, maybe. I don't know, I wasn't there. But all we know, the only instrument we have is thought. But is there something other than thought? Is there something that does not depend on time, on the past, and so on and so forth? We could talk about perception, about seeing something, which seeing is the perception in this instant. I don't know if hearing is to perceive something. It might be. Either way. So, you see something dangerous, and there is immediate action taking place. If you look at something, for example, you want to buy a car, and you look at it and you look and then you analyze. That is not perception, that is analysis. And analysis is never new, because analyzing is done, I'm pretty sure you know what analysis is, but it's just a process put together by thought. It is the result of thought, which is never new. Therefore, the analysis, if you really look at it, can never be complete, can never be 100% accurate. It can never be fully trusted, you might say. Analysis denies action, actually, because when you analyze, you're only repeating, and that so-called action you take is also a repetition. It's a conformity. You're conforming to the idea that you have about something or someone. So that's what you call action, which is conditioned on the motive. Whatever. This is not the time to talk about that. So, when you say I act, you don't act. repeat. So that's the thing. When after we get into a breakup, after someone breaks up with us, after a girl breaks up with me because of anything at all, when I lose my company, when I lose my savings accounts, my cars, my businesses, credit cards, deposits, and everything, I'm not looking at what is, I'm not looking at the present things. I'm only looking with the eyes of the past. I am relating everything to something. I'm drawing conclusions based on what I'm seeing. So therefore, I'm not seeing. I'm not really looking. I'm just, conforming to the pattern that has been created either by me or by someone else. So, when we encounter that feeling of despair, of lack, of hurt, betrayal, what is it that is being betrayed? What is it that is hurt? What is it that is so on and so forth? It's still thought. That's a thought. And it is so because after whatever. So the point is, when you're looking at something with the eyes of the past, therefore you're not looking at all, you're not going to be able to act. You're only going to filter everything that you know and conform your decision based on your, what's that called, dead point, on your conclusion. Whereas when you're overwhelmed by thoughts, the action would be to look, to see what's happening actually, to stop, to not panic and run into 10 directions simultaneously. And so I have had help with doing that by Krishnamurti, but not but. That was Krishnamurti is way better than Eckhart Tolle. With Eckhart, I couldn't really. I was only trusting in what he said, in what Eckhart says. He doesn't help you test everything, like Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti just puts everything into your plate, and you can just eat it. You can just do the same thing. He makes your cooking book. You can just look there and make whatever you want together. So either way, the reason a person the reason a person gets an intelligent person gets not gets over someone or gets through or in or whatever, but the way that an intelligent person sees the effects of a breakup on the body, on the psyche, and so on. When that person sees that, and he's not, or actually he may be conditioned, but not totally. He's actually intelligent. He actually has seen something or other. He actually wants to take care of it instead of just whining and crying and hiding under the carpet and whatever. He's an intelligent being, not just a repetitive toy. So, what he does is he sees that nothing has worked up to this point, and this has to be solved somehow. There has to be an answer. Running away from it hasn't worked. Keeping it under control clearly hasn't worked, and so on and so forth. And so maybe there's someone coming in and saying, "Look, old boy, what you've tried up to this point has led nowhere." And he sees that and she's like, "Yeah, you're right. Is there another way of not making effort, not trying my hardest, and then wasting my whole energy into that, and after 5 minutes being wasted and wanting to go home and crying? Is there another way?" Because I see the dangers. I see the danger of me not doing anything and just ignoring it. I see what happens. I see what effect it has on my psyche. I see what effect it has on my physical aspect of life, health, and so on. So that has to be changed immediately. So I see the danger of that. I see what running away from it, talking about it, making myself a victim or making the other person a victim, calling the cops, and so on and so on and so on and so on. I see that there's no point in doing that, following that, etc. I see there's no point. So what do I do? If making effort hasn't worked, ignoring hasn't worked, maybe perception, maybe just looking without the eyes of the past, which is the only way you could look, really. The only way you could actually look. Is that. So, not with the eyes of the past. Is there a way to see this thing totally, not just fragments, but totally. And from there, the answer just falling into place, the action just being there. Is there a way? Whatever. I'm sleepy as heck. The phone is burning. I wanted to make another part and saying just pretty much pointing out the addiction that I have. I've just been on my phone today for like 12 hours. And the thing is, I don't see the danger. I only just regret and not do anything about it, but there is not that urgency of get this fixed with your life, otherwise you'll die or whatever, you're gonna be in great danger or else. But there's not that feeling of immediacy, of actually needing to stop so-called wasting time and just staying on the phone all day playing video games and shit. You know what? It's because I don't want to replace that with something else like getting distracted by working and hanging or putting together coat hangers. That's not fun either, because that would just be the same thing. So yeah, I'm sleepy as fuck. I don't know how I managed to stay awake up till now, so whatever.